Hi, hey, hello. It is I, the real main event, the rogue soldier, but more importantly than that, I am the essential John L. Crossfire, and today you are going to be caught in the crossfire, but we will be caught in conversation. So without further ado, let's do this. So what's up, everyone? Welcome to the very first official episode of Caught in Conversation. Going to be completely honest, completely transparent. This is the absolute opposite of what was originally scheduled. I spent the better part of last week doing a lot of research, study, if you will, for what was going to be the very first episode, but to be honest, I didn't feel like recording that this week. I don't know how to say this. It's bad news, realistically, probably for no one but me. Just not in the best headspace right now. For those that aren't aware, I'm not going to tell the full story because I'm sick of telling it, to be honest. At the start of the year, I started to go blind. I spent the better part of first month and a half, 2 months of 2021 with pretty much little to no vision and having my fiance wait on me hand and foot. And while some people might think that sounds great, it's just not for me. Basically, not only did I almost lose the vision, I almost lost the eye, like it almost died. But, you know, they saved it, which, fucking, yay, round of applause. But it came with some bad news now. I'm still grateful. I've got my health, I've got my fiance, I've got my family, I've got my friends. But going into this, you know, they told me, hey, you're probably never going to wrestle again full-time, and by full-time I mean once a month, one monthly warrior, one of those indie wrestlers, you know. But even still, not being able to do it at least once a month, it was a kick in the guts. I went back to the eye hospital this week, and they've basically told me that it's healed really great. It's all swell, everything's grand. But because of how thin the scar tissue is, I'm probably never going to wrestle ever again. And why, you know, you never say, you know, they say there's no guarantees in life, whatever cliche you want to stick, you know, throw at the wall and see if it sticks. But it's a kick in the guts regardless. Like, this isn't a pity party. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. You know, people are going to say, you should talk to someone instead of talking to yourself in a microphone. Well, I have tried talking to people, and it's just not for me. But it is what it is. But professional wrestling has always been the one thing that I cared about. I used to always say, I'm going to be single, I'm going to be a bachelor, I'm going to live life on the road, I'm going to make it to WWE, I'm going to main event WrestleMania, and then, you know, got to about 16, 17 and realized that that's an absolutely dog shit dream. No offense to anyone out there still trying to do that, but I got to a point where I was like, hey, look, if I can pay my rent just by wrestling, I'd be happy, and now all those dreams are gone as well. You know, just means I have to stick to commentating, which isn't a bad thing. I've gotten nothing but good feedback, but this is where, you know, the potential pity party comes into play, and that's that 2018 was hard for me. I lost my grandfather, and the way I dealt with that was I got in the ring, I had a chairs match against Parker Gates, and she beat me all around that ring with steel chairs, and as emo as it sounds, being hit with those chairs was the best damn thing I've ever felt. You know, more than the needles that I've had on my skin for my tattoos and whatever else, but it is what it is. And then 2019, I lost my dad. And literally the day after his funeral, a lot of my family and friends, they told me it was selfish, but I got in that ring and I put on one of probably the best performances I've ever had. I mean, you know, there was a couple of hiccups, but there's always at least one or two. And I dealt with it through professional wrestling. 2020, you know, it was a dumpster fire for everyone, pretty much. And even when I couldn't wrestle, I got myself away. I was studying, I was learning new techniques, I was working on character development. And, you know, I've always been told I have good promos, but I was trying to, you know, can I just fine-tune those little things? One of them was I talk too fast, and if I'm doing that right now, I sincerely apologize. But then, yeah, you know, fast forward to 2021, and the one thing that I use to cope with, you know, with my mental health is the one thing that's been stripped away from me. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know how to deal with that. Like, they say it's okay to not be okay, and I'm going to be completely honest with all of you right now. I have a fiance that I love, we're planning a family, we're getting married in less than 5 months now, but as I said, it's a kick in the guts. I don't know how to feel, and I'm not okay. So rather than, try and do some half-assed list, which, for those that aren't aware, the original plan, well, I think most people wouldn't be aware, but my original plan for this episode was I was going to do the top 10 matches, in my opinion, of Eddie Guerrero, because, a lot of people do know that he is my absolute idol. So I thought, what better way to calm the nerves than do my first episode on something that I'm super passionate about. But regardless, here we are. I will still be recording that episode at some point. I want to try and record a few episodes at some point, just so I've got a few in the can, because I want to try and have these on a Sunday weekly, so that way I can record Tuesday or Thursday during the week when nobody's home, so that way I just don't look like, a moron and I'm talking to the wall while there's someone else here. But yeah, the Eddie Guerrero episode will be coming at some point. And, obviously I want to get enough followers to where I can eventually do a Q&A. And my goal going into this, I was like, if I can get at least one follower, like one person listening, even if it's just my fiance while I'm at work, that'll be a win. And I've already got, I think, 10 or 11 followers just from the introduction alone. So I appreciate that. And hopefully it continues to grow and we can all talk wrestling and at least try and, escape reality. Some of you might be having great realities and you might just want to unwind at the end of the day. That's cool too, like, power to you. But yeah, so basically that's the bad news, is that unfortunately, never say never, but being realistic, I'm probably never ever going to be able to wrestle again, and that sucks. And it's only been a couple of days since I've gotten that news, so I'm still trying to deal with it. But at the end of the day, the decision's made. Like you say Edge and Daniel Bryan, they come back from these, life-threatening neck injuries, and it's like, hey, at least my life's not on the line. Like, I'm knock on wood for that one, and that I'm grateful for. But at the same time, it's like, shit, we all have dreams, and life doesn't always pan out the way you'd expect, and that's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, even before I was told by the doctors, I just had this feeling that that's what they were going to say. Like, I tried my best to be optimistic, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to watch my fiance walk down the aisle. I want to be able to watch my future kids grow up. I want to watch my nephews grow up, And it is what it is. So at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not actually okay, mentally wise, but I am getting there. We'll get there. But then at the same time, it's like, I've got all this good stuff to look forward to, so I guess I am okay with that. And if that made any sort of sense, then thank you. I'm sorry for rambling. You're probably here to hear the wrestling, or maybe you just tuned in to find out what the bad news was and you don't care about the wrestling. Who knows? But yeah, basically, I'm going to try my best to focus on commentating at the events and hopefully making this a somewhat half-decent podcast to fill that creative outlet, and I guess we'll see how we go. And that brings me to a segment that each week, as I said, I want to try to do this weekly. I want to try and do a match of the week and a song of the week. And a lot, I'm not even going to edit that out. Who gives a crap? Let's go. A lot of the time, my coping mechanism was professional wrestling, but the other coping mechanism, English, is listening to music, as it is for a lot of people. And a band that I'm absolutely in love with, I actually use one of their songs, Soldier, as my entrance theme when I was wrestling, is Citizen Soldier. And my song of the week this week is their latest release. It's called Face to Face, like F-A-C-E-T-O-F-A-C-E, Face to Face. I can spell, apparently, just can't speak. But a line from the chorus of that song is, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. So that's, it sounds cheesy, it sounds corny, it sounds cliche, but that's how I'm trying to look at life right now. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the wrestling portion of this. So if you're going to listen to it, thank you. If not, thanks for listening this far, I guess. Right, and on to the wrestling portion. Full disclosure, I didn't realize, as I was making sure the audio from that first part was, all up to standard, my microphone came unplugged, and I sat here talking to myself for about 2 minutes without realizing that my microphone wasn't plugged in. So, take 2. I could have just kept that to myself, but I thought you guys would have found that funny. So, yeah, it's kind of a good way in the way that, I decided to, hey, let's just do something different, because there's been a lot of things this week. I mean, just this morning I woke up and WWE, surprise, surprise, have done a massive, well, not massive, I think there was only 5 or 6 this time around. I don't want to overstate it, but yeah, they've done another Call of Talent, and they're saying budget cuts, and if you look at, how much the superstars earn a year and stuff, in a way, it does make sense to a point, but at the same time, budget cuts is such a piss-poor excuse. And I'm so confused by some of them. Like Braun Strowman, I'm not a fan of Braun Strowman. Like, it's nothing personal against him. He said a couple of things, in interviews and stuff that makes me just go, you're a bit of a douche or whatever. But at the same time, his matches with Bray, where they're just 2 big beefy boys smacking the crap out of each other, like, that's heavyweight wrestling. I love that crap, Crap. I use that as a term of endearment and a term of negativity in the same sentence. Great job. But yeah, the dude was just in the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania Backlash. Can't wait for WrestleMania SummerSlam, y'all. He was in the main event at Backlash. Why did they add the title WrestleMania? It diminishes WrestleMania itself. That's a rant for another day. But yeah, he was just in the main event at WrestleMania Backlash. You've just heard me say that 3 times now. For the WWE Championship. And then less than, 2 weeks later now? 2, might be 3, I don't know. But they've released him. And, we don't know what goes on behind the scene. Maybe he's requested that. But it's so strange. He's just on pay-per-view for the main title. And then he's just gone. I don't understand. I can't make heads or tails of that. And then another one was, I didn't actually put this in my notes, nor did I put Braun, but Aleister Black. We just spent, a month, if not more, with him building up these vignettes of him introducing this new character where he's reading stories and talking about his childhood and explaining why he is, the satanic being that he is. And it was all such fascinating stuff, in my opinion. And then the big reveal of his character was he pops up and he costs Big E the Intercontinental Championship. The following week, neither man was ever on TV. Actually, Big E may have been in a random tag. I can't remember. Sorry if I'm wrong about that. But yeah, Aleister Black wasn't even on TV the following week after that. And here we are. I think the past episode of SmackDown that just happened was 2 weeks. And again, maybe 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, you build him up for a month of all these vignettes. Cost Big E the Intercontinental Championship, and you think, all right, it's a new, fresh feud. I feel like those two would actually have a good dynamic. And then I wake up this morning and he's been released because of budget cuts, brother. That's some good shit. Damn it. I make those jokes, but at the end of the day, you can't always blame Vince. So many people are constantly blaming Vince. I do agree he is slightly out of touch these days. But it's like, look at the Mickie James situation. She got her stuff sent to her in a trash bag. Chelsea Green also did, but it wasn't even her stuff. She got someone else's stuff sent to her in a trash bag. Like, Vince isn't sitting at his desk going, I'm going to send this person stuff in a bag of trash. I think he's a bit too busy for that. But, yeah, you can't. So my point on that, the sidebar, was you can't just blame Vince. Like, the dude is a genius. He's also made a lot of mistakes, but whoever's running talent relations, they need to pull their finger out. They need to have some sort of better HR department, I guess. Look at me trying to talk business when I'm completely unqualified to do so. But yeah, that's just crazy. The people I did make a note about, sorry, I'm rambling for those that are listening, was Ruby Riott and Buddy Murphy were the two that stuck out to me. Now, I might be biased because I am a big fan of both of these talents, but Ruby Riott for me, and yeah, she got injured, she was out for a bit. sucks. But she's been around for a while in terms of, the independent scene. And the main reason for that was because at the time WWE was very heavy on their divas, and I'm not even going to get into that because I'll be sitting here for another... Excuse me. I'll be sitting here for an hour ranting about divas and completely forget the format that I've written down. But, she was busting her ass. She was wrestling, she was wrestling like a man, as old Jim Cornette would probably say. But she was busting her ass, proving why she belonged in the business of professional wrestling. And in my opinion, her and Liv Morgan as a tag team, you look at the women's tags at the moment, they were probably the only proper, I say with air quotes on an audio podcast, good job, John, they were probably the only proper tag team in the current women's tag division as it is. And you watch that match at WrestleMania, the tag team gauntlet, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, they held that match together. I don't think any other, you could have found a team, hell, you could put the Bellas out there or something. I don't think on that night, in that situation, anyone could have held that down better than Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan did. And then on top of that, Ruby Riott, as I just mentioned, she has so much experience. She could be backstage. Now, I'm not saying make her just be a coach, because that's what they tried to do to Mickie James, and she wasn't happy with that before the release anyway. But even as a talent, she has so much experience. You're bringing up all these people from NXT that have all the talent in the world, but they don't have the knowledge. Someone like Ruby, she could be a locker room leader for the women's locker room. And I just don't understand it. And again, just like I said with Braun, maybe, she has arcs for her release. I don't know. But, the main reason, according to the dirt sheets, is the budget cut. So that's the only reason it seems silly, because, in my opinion, she was working way below her pay grade. Like, the experience she has, that not only the on-screen stuff she could do, but behind the scenes, it just seems so strange to me that of all the talent you'd release, it's Ruby Riott. The next one, I'm trying to get through these as quick as I can, because my main portion of this show is I'll be recapping Deathmatch Downunder's burden of experience. So yeah, the next one was Buddy Murphy. And I said this a couple months ago when they released Wesley Blake, and I said it to my fiance, and it wasn't a slide on Buddy's talent, because Jesus Christ, is that dude talented. But like you watch, TV, or we kind of put Raw and SmackDown on as background noise, to be honest. But you watch it, you listen to it, whatever, and Buddy's just backstage and catering. A dude that talented shouldn't be sitting on his ass, and damn well that that's not what he wants to be. He doesn't want to be getting paid to sit on his ass. He wants to, get paid to do what he's there to do. Oh, sorry, that's a mouthful. But I said this when Wesley Blake was eliminated, when he was released, that it wouldn't surprise me if Buddy was to go. And then that sparked the idea, and now it's just stuck in my head. And if it doesn't happen, which it probably won't because it's super left field, but I feel Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake should reform their old tag team that they had when they were in NXT, because I feel you throw them in Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, hell, chuck him in, NWA, and MLW. I apologize if I just repeated one of the promotions there, because again, I talk too fast when I get excited. Sorry, but any promotion you throw them into, they would thrive as a tag team. And again, I'm being biased because I love tag team wrestling. I hate doing it, but I love watching it. I love helping people put together their spots in their matches, brother. I just don't like doing them myself. But yeah, put them in a tag team. But then even if you don't, Buddy Murphy, if you put him, New Japan, where, when travel eases, sending him over to Japan to wrestle in the Super Juniors, or even, the New Japan strong stuff in the US, him versus TJP would be fantastic. Him versus a Denny Limelight would be fantastic. He's up and coming on AEW Dark and stuff as well. Denny Limelight, as a side note, big fan. He has a massive Spider-Man tattoo on his chest, so maybe that's why I'm biased. Sorry. But yeah, just more releases by WWE. And that brings us to the next section, which is not recap, because I'm not going to go match by match like I am with DMDU, but I also watched AEW's Double or Nothing yesterday. I apologise if there's a weird little break in the audio there. My washing machine started going off. I tried to edit it down as much as I could so you couldn't hear it, but I think it is still there, my bad. But yeah, I got home Tuesday afternoon from the eye doctors, as I previously mentioned. And then I spent all day yesterday just watching professional wrestling. We watched the entire 4 hours of AEW Double or Nothing. I watched DMGU's Burden of Experience, and I watched this week's episode of Ring of Honor TV, as well as Ring of Honor Week for Week on their YouTube channel. So yeah, just quick notes on AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. It's so good that they have full capacity. Hopefully they're being completely COVID safe with that. But yeah, the crowd was absolutely on fire. I'm still not a fan of Jon Moxley, but him and Eddie Kingston as a tag team, dude, I am here for it. I was so actually hoping that they would win the tag team titles, but not to be. Took 4 BTE triggers, which may have been overkill, but what are you going to do? It's the Young Bucks. They're doing their thing, killing it as always. Jungle Boy. The best thing that could have ever happened to him was Tony Khan buying the rights to his theme song, Tarzan Boy, because by God, and it's nothing to do, he's a super talented dude. He has all the talent in the world, but he was just missing that one thing. And now it's like that Bobby Roode thing or the Nakamura thing where he's got that theme song now. And that, I think, in my opinion, that was just that edge that he needed because he is over. And, look, we all know he's not going to beat Kenny Omega, and that's okay because this match, in my opinion, is still going to make him, he hung in there with Jericho, was it last year? Maybe even the year before, I think. Time's going way too fast. But in my opinion, this match with Omega, with how on fire he is right now, this is going to solidify him, in my opinion, as a single star. And let's face it, the match itself is going to be absolutely lit. The worst match, in my opinion, and I think it was my brother-in-law's opinion as well, was, and it wasn't even a bad match, the worst match on the card was Cody versus Anthony Ogogo. I could have done with all the patriotism stuff. I understand, it was Memorial Day weekend over there, so more power to them. But in this day and age, UK versus the US, as an Australian, who am I meant to cheer for, the governor, if built right, he does have a lot of potential. And the side note, I didn't even write this in my notes, but again, Eddie Guerrero is my idol, so maybe I'm biased, but that frog splash that Ogogo did was fucking beautiful. Apologies for the swearing, but I have marked this as explicit. Just a side note. Cody, the finish of that match, he hit probably the safest vertebraker I've ever seen, and it still looks so damn good. I don't know what it is. When Cody was first released by WWE, the fans were they were all over him. He joined the Bullet Club. They were losing their minds, and all of a sudden, a lot of the fans I've noticed online have actually turned on Cody. But this match is why I'm a fan of Cody, because it could have been a lot worse than it was. A go-go. For such a limited experience, you could say maybe he shouldn't be on pay-per-view. But he was. He killed it. And, Cody, obviously, he held his own weight. I'm not saying he didn't. Again, as I said, that frog splash off the top, absolute thing of beauty. But Cody definitely helped carry that match. And, the finish, as I said, that vertebraker, just chef's kiss. It was a thing of beauty. Britt Baker, finally, The Rock says finally, Britt Baker has become AEW Women's Champion. Now, and again, no slide on her talent, but for ages I'm someone needs to beat Sheeta. Someone needs to beat Sheeta. And in my opinion, you look at the roster, the last year, if not more, this has been such a long time coming. It made both myself and Mrs. Crossfire very happy when Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, became the new AEW Women's Champion. And sidebar again, the new title, people are saying it's still not big enough. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous now. The only problem with it was that it was too small. They've, made it that tiny little bit bigger. And the backing, the silver backing, it's so beautiful. I love me some championship belts. I don't know why I just sounded like Braun Strowman there, but here we are. The AEW title match, it was really good. I'm kind of bummed in a way that I saw all the spoilers before I got a chance to watch it because I was in Sydney at the Eye Hospital. But there was so many times in that match where it's like, holy shit, like, that could have been the finish. And I've looked at it, I'm like, if I hadn't seen the spoilers, like, I would have thought that would have been the finish. Like, so many times it looked like Pac was going to win, and then it looked like Orange Cassidy was going to win, and then it looked like Omega was going to win. Obviously, he did win in the end, but, like, there's certain spots. But that finish, and again, I don't work backstage. I'm not officially an agent or a producer or whatever, but I'd like to think that I have decent psychology, and I think the whole hitting Pac with each one of Omega's titles was absolutely beautiful. But then you do all that, Orange Cassidy hits his finisher, and Omega he rolls him up into a crucifix, basically no-selling the dude's finisher, getting himself over as a heel just to just be like, bang, no-sell, you're finished, brother, I'm a babyface. Like, and maybe, in a way, in this day and age, that could be why he's doing it too, because, you've got the internet fans will cheer for whoever. So maybe me being mad at that is Omega's way of being a heel, because he knows that, he's being smart, he's being realistic. Me as an internet fan, I'm going, that's not right. It doesn't make me happy. So in a way, that kind of does make him a heel. So it's the only way I can think, that it makes sense. Like, I get he's the best bout machine, but, straight up no-selling Orange Cassidy's finish, who's another dude that's straight up over, just seems a little bit weird to me. But what do I know? I'm just a mark. In the main event, we had Stadium Stampede. And in my opinion, it wasn't quite as fun as the one we had last year, but was still a very, very fun Stadium Stampede, lots of laughs. And overall, I think it's just a solid card. That brings me to this week's episode of Ring of Honor Television. Again, just a quick little side note, I'm not going to recap the whole thing, but I'm so super stoked for the return of the Survival of the Fittest tournament. I've always loved it. They've got a lot of talent, a lot of potential, outcomes for the first qualifying matches as well. I've already fantasy booked the 6 that I want / think it will be. But, that's another rant for another day. If you're interested in hearing it, maybe I'll, tell you on the Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or something. Maybe I'll do it on here next week if I get a chance to record before the first match kicks off on Ring of Honor TV, which is now heel Flamita, who's going by the demonic Flamita versus Rey Horus, which I'm sure will be an absolute banger of a match. But, yeah, I'm just super stoked for Survival of the Fittest. And LSG versus Joe Keys, neither men were in contention for a singles title. The winner gets to go on, and they actually get to choose between the Pure division and the television division. Awesome concept, in my opinion. And LSG, like Joe Keys, is, again, another dude that's a very talented wrestler, but LSG, in my opinion, is just an absolute star. Like, there's something about him, it just radiates star power, much similar to Ricky Starks, actually, over in AEW. You just look at him, and there's just this absolute aura, and I can't put my finger on it. Like, he does all the flippy doos that all the modern day wrestlers do, but he takes that second, and it just lets it sink in, and it's beautiful. Calls himself the Ace of Space, rightfully so. I love his signature, the Rocket by a Baby, and I can't think of the name of his signature, that flippy powerbomb thing he does. Again, super flippy, but he builds to it. He makes you want it. He makes you need it. He makes you crave it. But, yeah, and he's chose to go into the Pure rankings. I thought he was just going to go into the TV rankings again, because I feel like going into that, I thought maybe that's what he fit in. But he wants to go into the Pure division, and that makes me like him and respect him even more, because the Pure rules are my favourite rules, So hopefully, keyword hopefully, there is some gold, or in this case, silver, in LSG's future. And with Best in the World coming up on pay-per-view, it's going to be the first event, actually, where Ring of Honor has fans back. I would love to see LSG build his way up and have LSG versus Jonathan Gresham on the pay-per-view. Like, that would make me mark out, and especially if he was to win. But again, just LSG versus Jonathan Gresham, that's a match that I need to see. So, Ring of Honor, for the love of God, I'm going to pray to all the wrestling gods, please let that happen. LSG versus Jonathan Gresham needs to happen. Main portion now. It's now time for your main event. Yeah, I can't do as good an impression of Howard Finkel as Doc Gallows does over on Talking Shop, but here we are. I watched, as I said, Deathmatch Downunder's Burden of Experience on IW TV. You can use the code DMDU for 5 days free. I've been signed up for a while. I use code Warhorse because Warhorse rules ass. But yeah, if you're a new subscriber, please use code DMDU. I'm so super keen for the heavyweight title tournament. Obviously I've seen all the results and stuff for that when it happened a couple of weeks ago, but I watched this event in preparation for that dropping this week on Saturday and Sunday respectively for night 1 and 2 of The Juice is Worth the Squeeze. But yeah, this card was, dude, it was sick. It's, I think, runs an hour and 48 and however many minutes. Perfect time. My missus went downtown to do some shopping. I put it on just as she was leaving. The main event finished just as she got home. So it was all right in the world for me. But yeah, first off, JXT on commentary. Dude, like anyone that knows me knows that I'm a mark for JXT. And the fact that he is proudly just a mark himself. It's basically just his gimmick. Except for in DMDU, of course, with, the whole blacklisted stuff. It popped me already. I'm like, yep, this is going to be good. And him doing his Vince McMahon impressions and the, oh, what a maneuvers. And just so outfully being a dick. I loved it because I wish I could do that on commentary and get away with it. But that's, because he's made it part of his gimmick. He kind of can. So yeah, JXT just on commentary in general was great. Murdoch versus Renegade. Renegade's crowd antics as a very subtle heel popped the shit out of me. They stopped cheering for Murdoch for a second, and he's like, oh, you're not going to cheer for him anymore. So they started. It's like, too late now. Grabs Murdoch by the hair and slams him on the ground. Popped me good. And that Murdoch sell on Renegade's handspring stunner, it got me good. It was so over the top, but it was also so well timed that it just looked absolutely perfect. It was really, really good. Murdoch got the win in that match. But very solid opener, especially for ya boy versus the big boy in the hashtag Battle of the Boys. A very, very solid match for the opener of that card, in my opinion. The second match, we had the sensational Will Walker. Someone needs to teach him to be sensational, if you know what I'm saying, and if you know, you know. That was, another gimmick that I was going to use after I killed Crossfire, but Crossfire's stuck with me forever now. Versus the former Chris Shadows in Tom Barrett, and I am personally very, 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 very happy to see this, because there was a time where I was being trained. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I don't know if Tom wants me to say this, but I was being trained by Chris Shadows, Tom Barrett, and, I've learned so much from him the last few years. So seeing him make it to DMDU, make his way on this card, it makes me very, very, very happy for him, and I hope to see nothing but good things from him in the future. Of course, Will Walker got the win. He rolled up the veteran. It was very surprising. The wacky roll-up. So yeah, congrats to Will Walker on the win, but congrats more so to Tom Barrett on his DMDU debut from me on a personal level. The next match was York versus Zuzu, and I'm not going to go into this because I don't want to be, crucified for something I may or may not intentionally say. And all I'm going to say is that I am very glad to see a promotion finally actually appreciate Zuzu for what he is worth. And we had Zuzu versus York. Big pop for York's theme song. It was Hold the Line by Toto. Just singing along to it, and it's like, it meant to be a heel, dude, come on. But no, it was just it's good time, have some fun, whatever. The highlight of that match, in my opinion, was Zuzu did like a springboard headbutt, to the nether regions of York, and JXT on comedy just goes, did he just headbutt him in the dick? And just the delivery, again, JXT's commentary was the first thing I mentioned, and just the delivery of that line, did he just headbutt him in the dick? I think he just headbutted him in the dick. It just cracked me up. I literally had tears from laughing. Now, obviously, York got the win in that match. Very, very dominant performance. But again, yeah, just good to see Zuzu actually be appreciated by someone. The next match, Chanel Phoenix versus Gore. A very quick match, but both competitors looked very strong, if you will, coming out of it. Chanel just kept going to Gore, wouldn't back down using that MMA style, but Gore being Gore, the Snuff King, basically ran through her, but, she wouldn't stay down, and then all of a sudden, she had no choice, Solid match, good heavyweight contest, it was what it was. And then we start to move on to the Deathmatch portion. Taipei Deathmatch, which for those that aren't aware what that is, that means they have broken shards of glass taped to their fists. Yeah, that is what it is. You get exactly what is advertised with that one. You got nobody, Callan Butcher, who in my opinion, give it a year or so, he will be somebody in professional wrestling, whether it's in Australia, whether it's elsewhere. The dude busts his ass, nothing but mad respect, and the same can be said for his opponent, the Big Rig, Fox. And as I said, it's exactly what you'd expect. They use the glass, bit of blood, why not? And the finish came where, actually at the start, they started working where, he was raking he, pronouns pal, Fox was raking his wrist across Butcher's face, obviously grinding the glass on his head. It was just like, ugh. And basically that was the entire match. It was just constant, you wanted glass, have your glass. But the finish came when Fox did, he went back to it. He used a crossface, which is a traditional wrestling maneuver, which that popped me because, in a death match, you're not usually expecting that stuff, which is great, props to, Fox for doing that. But then Callan Butcher reverses it, puts on a crossface of his own, of course, with the glass, and makes Fox tap out. And then Fox actually shows a little bit of respect, and I appreciated that greatly. Sorry, I'm getting tripped up on my words. That's what happens when I get excited. The next match was a barbed wire rope panes of glass death match. So basically, yes, the ropes were wrapped in barbed wire, and it was a best of 5. You had to put your opponent through at least three panes of glass for the win between Damian Rivers and Jason Crusher Cole. Is it Jason Crusher? I think it's Jason Crusher. But Crusher Cole. And just like the previous match, you get exactly what you mentioned. They went straight into it with Crusher Cole throwing Rivers straight through 2 panes of glass, putting Crusher Cole at 2-0 within like the first minute or so of the match. Excellent psychology, in my opinion. And then, yeah, just big beefy men smacking the shit out of each other all around. Props to both men. The final spot was absolutely brutal when Rivers gets to win. He pushes Cole off the top rope through 2 panes of glass and a door. So that's like, it's a good, 8-foot drop or something, 9-foot drop. And that's a lot of weight to come crashing down too. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but just, wow, props to Crusher Cole for taking that bump, man. Absolute glass explosion. And then to break up the death match, matches, because of course the main event was still to come, we had the 6-man tag, which I thought was a great way to break it up. We had the Flippy Boys. It was Zane Zodiac, Kid Valiant, and Valido versus Xavier Black. Who was it? Mike Chaos. Sorry, I completely blanked on the names. I should have wrote it down in detail, but I was trying to take notes as I was going. So I basically wrote 6-man match. It was Flippy Boys versus the Heels. No disrespect meant there. But yeah, I had a big pop for the duality reference, the Slipknot reference on commentary there when they were doing the introductions. And we had Xavier Black. He did a ripcord chop that just sounded meaty as fuck. It was sexy too. Everyone got their shit in. It was a fun match. The babyfaces go over. I loved it. And then we have your main event of the evening. It was a light tube glass crush death match for the Suplex Explicit Championship between the challenger Charlie Rose who is an extremely talented young lady from Tasmania. Big pop for the steamed hand Principal Skinner shirt she was wearing. And of course, her opponent, the current reigning, defending, suplex explicit champion, Joel Bateman. And anyone that knows me knows that I am a huge mark for Joel, and I've looked up to him for, Jesus, like just years upon years, and I'm so glad to see him back after his shoulder injury a couple of years ago. And, you know, there might be a bit of bias there, but I feel it's rightfully deserved. He's full of excellent advice, knowledge, you know, he's always willing to lend a hand to pretty much anyone that needs it. But, yeah, again, this match was exactly as advertised. They go straight into it. I let out a very audible, fuck, on more than one occasions. And, look, just super proud of Charlie Rose. And I know that that's a weird thing to say since, you know, obviously I have absolutely zip nada nothing to do with her, you know, success, and I've never even met the young girl, but she absolutely just busted her ass, and she's mentioned on social media a couple of times that before this match she was, you know, considering leaving professional wrestling. So both as a fan and someone in the business, I'm just super glad that she didn't, because she has such a bright future ahead of her. And this match solidified her as a fucking star. And I posted this on Instagram, but when that match finished, I literally just stared at my Chromecast screen for about 5 minutes, trying to comprehend what I'd just seen. Like, her and Joel, they just tore it down. They busted their ass. And see, I'll be honest, I never used to be a big fan of deathmatch wrestling, like, you know, but I used to watch, you know, a bit of CZW here and there, and a lot of it, with all due respect to the performance, some of it just come across as, you know, gore for the sake of gore. But then you watch this, you know, Deathmatch Downunder, and especially a Joel Bateman match, and again, maybe I'm biased, but the way that he builds a match, the way he tells the story, it's fucking beautiful. Props to Joel, props to Charlie Rose. The sliding German that she did to Joel into the light tubes was super cool, super smooth. Joel obviously took care of her the whole way through, but damn, she fucking held her weight, man. The whole match is just fucking great. And I apologize for the swearing, but there's no other way to describe it. And again, as I said earlier with the Song of the Week, I want to do a Song of the Week and a Match of the Week. My Match of the Week this week, it is this match. It's a light tube glass crush death match. Charlie Rose versus Joel Bateman for the Suplex Explicit Championship. My opinion, even if you aren't a deathmatch wrestling fan, if you're just a wrestling fan in general, I think you will enjoy this match. Just make sure the kids aren't around. I marked super hard, actually, as a side note, though, when Joel Bateman, he did a WCW Lapaka with the light tube. I remember doing that on my chair a few shows ago before I had to, you know, step aside. And everyone's like, why did you do Kyle O'Reilly? And it's like, no, it's fucking Lapaka. So thank you, Joel. If I'm sure I'm not the only one, but even if I was the only one that popped for that, thank you for that spot. But, yeah, like, again, that's my recap of DMDU Burden, my Song of the Week, Face to Face by Citizen Soldier, Match of the Week, the main event of this show, Charlie Rose versus Joel Evans. Jesus Christ. Charlie Rose versus Joel Bateman. Sorry, I was thinking Charlie Evans. I keep getting confused between the two Charlies. But yes, Charlie Rose versus Joel Bateman, Glass Crush Light Tube Death Match for the Suplex Explicit title. That is my Match of the Week. You can watch this on IWTV. If you use DMDU, you get 5 days free. Go back and watch their previous events while you're at it. And if you are in the ACT area, or you have the means to get there, on the 26th of June, we have the Masked Wrestlers League. So that's just under 3 weeks of when this episode is going to be uploaded. It'll be just a day short. In the Canberra PCY, tickets are only $10 for adults, $5 for children. You can go to Facebook for more details. I'll try and remember to link the actual event page in the description of this episode, but if not, it's not hard to find. You know, ICW Australia, CPW, ICW Canberra. The event page is on there somewhere. I'm sharing it all the time on all my socials, so of course, look out for that. And I guess, yeah, that just brings an end to my first episode. I'm hoping someone has actually, again, even only if it's only one person, hopefully someone sat down and listened to this all the way through. Yeah, thanks for listening. Ciao.